You know that saying, being in the wrong place at the wrong time? Well, mine was more like being in the right place at the exact time with the most wrong person possible. Or maybe the right one. I still haven't decided. It all started with back pain. Yes, a simple, almost pathetic back pain. My neighbor's back pain. Until then, I only knew him from the rushed good mornings in the elevator and the muffled sound of classic rock leaking from his apartment on Saturday nights. He's the kind of man who makes you hold your breath without even realizing it. 6 feet tall, a smile that hides secrets, and a gaze that strips your soul bare. And me? Well, I've always been a good observer, and a terrible liar when it comes to hiding desire. The excuse was that I did massage therapy. That was a lie. I only had curious hands and an irresistible urge to know if his skin was really as warm as it looked. What began as an innocent favor in his living room, with almond oil and a relaxing playlist, quickly turned into something else. A dangerous game. A game that ended with us in his bedroom, me hiding inside his closet while his wife came home. But the twist, my love, is what will make you doubt every perfect neighborhood you've ever believed in. Curious to know where this is going? Then hit that subscribe button and comment below your city or state. I love knowing how far these stories travel. Who knows? Maybe the next one will sound a little too familiar to you. It all happened on a Tuesday. I was taking out the trash just as he was coming back to his apartment. He forced a smile when he saw me, then winced in pain as he reached for his keys. The perfect opening. I asked what had happened, and his answer was music to my ears. A pulled muscle in his lower back during training. That's when the words slipped out of my mouth almost on their own. I took a few massage therapy classes back in college, just as a hobby, I lied, better than I ever had before. If you'd like, I could help with that. No strings attached. His eyes scanned me for a moment. There was hesitation, but beneath it, a spark of curiosity. Maybe even complicity. He knew, and I knew he knew, my offer was anything but innocent. He invited me in with a low voice, saying it would be a huge help, that he couldn't stand the pain anymore. As I followed him inside, the woody scent of his cologne mixed with the sweat from his workout, and I suddenly knew this back pain was the best gift the universe had ever given me. The door clicked shut behind us. In my head, it sounded like the start of something irreversible. He led me into the living room, pointed at the couch, and told me to get comfortable while he grabbed oil and towels. The normalcy of it all, that's what made it so electrifying. We were about to cross a line. When he came back, the scene had already changed. His shirt was gone, revealing an abdomen that looked sculpted by a Renaissance artist. He handed me the oil, and my fingers tingled. "Where did you learn to do this?" he asked, lying down on the thick, fuzzy carpet, his hoarse voice sending chaos through my nervous system. That was the moment courage, or maybe insanity, took over. "We can do this the boring way, or the fun way," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He turned his head toward me, one eyebrow arched, silently daring me to continue. That was the point of no return. I took a deep breath and threw out the bait, praying he'd bite as hard as I wanted him to. "Let's make it a game," I proposed. "I'll look for tension points on your body. Every time I find one that makes you shiver, you'll have to tell me a truth, something you wouldn't tell just anyone. And then, you'll do the same to me." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Then, a slow, dangerous smile spread across his lips. "Those are your rules, massage therapist." The way he said it dripped with mockery and desire. "I'm in. But be ready. I'm very good at finding points of tension." And in that moment, the massage stopped being about back pain and became about uncovering every secret his body was hiding. I started out trying to look professional, or at least pretending to. I spread the warm oil across his broad back, feeling the tight muscles beneath my fingertips. The first contact was electric. His skin was soft, hot, exactly how I'd imagined. My movements were slow, circular, gliding from his lower back up toward his shoulders, mapping out his body like uncharted territory. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I slid my thumbs along the base of his spine, tracing upward until I reached a spot between his shoulder blades. I pressed harder. The reaction was instant. A deep sigh escaped his lips. His whole body tightened beneath my hands. A visible shiver ran across his skin. "Got one," I whispered near his ear, breathing in the scent of his hair. "Your turn. Tell me a truth. What's the riskiest thing you've ever done for desire?" I wanted to start strong, push the limits from the very beginning. For a moment, silence. I worried I had gone too far. Then his voice came, low and weighted. "Once, I followed a woman for 3 blocks, just because her perfume reminded me of an old love. I didn't touch her, I just followed, imagining what it would be like to kiss her." The confession was intimate, a little dark, and incredibly exciting. The game had truly begun. "My turn," he said, his tone now playful, challenging. He rolled over onto his back, eyes locked on me with a gaze so intense I had to look away. "Lie here beside me." "It's only fair the therapist gets treatment too." My heart pounded, but I couldn't back out now. I lay down next to him on the carpet, feeling the heat radiating from his body. His hands were big, rough, so different from mine. And he didn't waste a second. His fingers went straight to my neck, gliding gently over my skin, moving toward my hairline. Precise, almost surgical. He pressed a spot just beneath my hairline, firm but careful. It was like a jolt of electricity. My eyes shut tight, and a low moan escaped my throat before I could stop it. "Found it," he murmured, satisfied, his warm breath brushing against my face. "Now my question. What's your biggest fetish? The secret fantasy you've never told anyone?" The words dropped into the silence like a stone, heavy, invasive. Exactly what I expected from him. I swallowed hard, looked straight into his eyes, and decided to play. "Being watched," I whispered. The idea of being with someone, while knowing another pair of eyes is secretly watching. The vulnerability, the danger. It fascinates me. A slow smile of understanding curved his lips. A smile I wouldn't understand the true meaning of until much later. From there, the game transformed. Every confession gave us permission to go further. The massage became nothing but an excuse, a choreography of touches and secrets. His hands explored my ribs, the curve of my waist, the delicate insides of my wrists. Each precise touch was rewarded with a bolder, more intimate question. He made me confess the night I had been with 2 friends at once. In return, he admitted that nothing aroused him more than the sound of a woman's breathless moans. With each truth revealed, the air grew heavier. The border between game and reality dissolved completely. There was no massage anymore, only raw exploration. My hands, now bolder, trailed down his back, around his waist, stopping dangerously close to where the towel clung to his hips. I felt his breathing grow heavier, the tension between us almost unbearable. I wasn't pretending to search for pain anymore. I was searching for pleasure. And so was he. His touches turned into caresses. His fingers traced invisible patterns across my skin, sliding up my stomach, brushing the outline of my breasts through my shirt. He never crossed the barrier of the fabric, but the promise hung in the air. The limit wasn't physical anymore. It was a thin line we were about to erase, with the next confession. It was my turn to push. I slid my hand up his side, slowly, until I reached his armpit, a spot I knew was painfully sensitive for most men. I brushed it lightly. His whole body jolted, a violent shiver running through him. He laughed, low and rough. That was a cheap shot. "Truth for truth," I said, my voice sounding bolder than I felt. "When was the last time you thought about cheating on your wife?" The question hung in the air, heavy, forbidden. I saw the hesitation in his eyes. It was a boundary, maybe the only unspoken rule left between us. Finally, he answered, "I think about it every day, Not about someone specific, just the idea, the fantasy, the thrill of something new, something forbidden. I love her. But the craving for novelty is always there. His honesty cut deep, brutal, raw, and somehow it pulled me even closer to him. "Now me," he said. His hand moved with new determination, landing on my thigh over my jeans. His fingers slid upward, millimeter by millimeter, to the very top, where the denim was thickest. The pressure burned like liquid fire. "Your turn. Tell me something that would make me blush." I took a shaky breath and confessed the secret I had never told anyone, a fantasy involving handcuffs and a blindfold. The game had reached its peak. "I think we need more space," he said, standing and offering me his hand. Without hesitation, I took it. He led me down the hall and opened the door to his bedroom. The atmosphere was different, softer, dimmer. A lamp glowed in the corner. A neatly made bed dominated the room. The change of scenery was a statement. He asked me to lie down, and I obeyed. The massage resumed, but this time his focus was on my legs. His strong hands worked my calves, moving slowly upward to my thighs. The denim barrier was useless against the heat of his touch. Each movement was deliberate, every touch a silent question. I no longer knew where the game ended and the seduction began. My moans slipped out freely now. So did his. Every point of pleasure he found, I answered with a confession, and he with one of his own. We talked about first kisses, forbidden desires, even the loneliness we sometimes felt despite being surrounded by people. The towel around his waist had loosened dangerously. My blouse suddenly felt suffocating, too tight. The air in the room grew thick with heat and unspoken words. The massage became a slow, torturous caress along the inside of my thighs. It was no longer a matter of if something would happen, but when. He positioned himself between my legs, still over my clothes, but the friction was undeniable. His lips brushed my neck. My soft moans turned into echoes in the silent room. The game was over. What was happening now was real, urgent, inevitable. The sounds spilling from us were the soundtrack of our transgression, raw, unrestrained pleasure, the result of hours of tension, of confessions that had undressed us long before clothes ever came off. He whispered things in my ear, and I answered with sighs, my body arching toward his. We were trapped inside our own bubble, deaf to the outside world, until the doorbell shattered everything. "Dine Dome!" The sharp, insistent chime cut through the air like an explosion. We froze, eyes wide in panic. The bubble burst. "Dine Doom!" Again, louder, more real. The doorbell, reality, literally knocking at the door. The sweat that moments ago was desire turned instantly into dread. The silence that followed was broken only by our ragged breaths and the frantic pounding of our hearts. "It's her," he whispered, pale, his wife. In one instant, I was a woman lost in forbidden desire. In the next, I was the other, the cliché, the hidden lover in a cheap movie plot. "Get dressed fast," he hissed, scrambling for his clothes on the floor. But there was no time. The doorbell rang again, followed by urgent knocking. "Baby, you in there? I forgot my keys." Her voice. Right at the door. Panic. My body froze. My mind went blank. I sat paralyzed on his bed, the scene of my crime. He grabbed my arm, dragging me off the sheets. "No time. No time," he repeated like a prayer. His eyes scanned the room, desperate, until they landed on the only option. A large, dark wooden closet beside the door. He shoved me toward it. "Get in. Be quiet. Not a sound, for God's sake." The scent of cedar and her perfume hit me as he swung the door open. I slipped inside without thinking, crouching between coats and dresses. The door shut. Darkness swallowed me whole. I heard his footsteps rush to the entrance just as my heart tried to pound its way out of my chest. From a narrow crack, I saw the room. The apartment door opened. Her voice floated in. Wow, you took forever. Were you in the shower? Her tone was sweet, but tinged with suspicion. No, I was meditating in the bedroom with headphones. Didn't hear the bell. Sorry. The lie rolled off his tongue too easily, too naturally. It chilled me. I heard her footsteps moving closer. Meditating? Since when is that your hobby? Her silhouette appeared in the doorway. The argument that followed could have been ripped from a script. Why was he sweaty? Meditation had been intense. What was that smell? A floral perfume. Mine. He deflected, saying it was a new incense he had lit earlier. Every question from her stabbed my chest. Every answer from him confirmed how skilled he was at lying. I shrank deeper into the darkness, shame and fear crushing me. I was the intruder, the homewrecker, or so I thought. The argument dragged on, every second stretching like an hour. She paced the room, picking things up from the dresser while he lingered by the door, tense. And then, suddenly, the tone shifted. Her voice, once sharp and suspicious, turned playful, almost mocking. Do you think she's too scared in there? My entire body froze. The question made no sense. I told myself I'd misheard, that the muffled wood of the closet had tricked me. But then his voice came clear as crystal. Of course. Her heart must be racing a mile a minute. Your performance was flawless, my love. Worthy of an Oscar. Performance. My love. The words rattled inside me like gunshots. And then came the laugh, the wife's laugh. A laugh of complicity, dark and knowing. She fell straight into our trap. Naive, just like you said she would. Trap. The word echoed in the darkness of the closet, dismantling everything I thought I knew. This wasn't betrayal. It was theater. A performance staged for a single audience. Me. Pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. His excitement, her suspicion, our game of truths, my confession being watched. They hadn't just been playing with me. They had been studying me, testing me. The look on her face when the bell rang, he said, voice charged with the same thrill I had heard during our game. Exactly what I imagined. And she confessed, she added, about being watched. You were right. The truth game was perfect. We'd never have the courage to approach someone directly. We had to be sure she was the right type. Curious, with that spark of darkness. I was listening to the anatomy of my own recruitment. The perfect couple next door didn't want to destroy each other. They wanted me. I wasn't a threat to their marriage. I was a potential ingredient, the missing piece in their private game. Time stopped. My breathing filled the closet, ragged, loud, impossible to hide. They knew I was there. They had always known. Every touch, every confession, every moan had been scripted. What I thought was shame turned into something else. A wild cocktail of anger, fear, and curiosity. I heard their footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer, stopping right outside the closet door. The silence was unbearable. I could picture them there, smiling, savoring the climax of their performance. Then, the soft click of the latch. The door creaked open. A strip of light cut through the darkness, widening until their silhouettes appeared side by side in the glow of the bedroom. The door swung open completely, and there I was, a mess of wrinkled jeans and tangled hair, crouched on their closet floor like a frightened child. I lifted my eyes to theirs. No anger, no accusations, just calm, calculated, curious. He was the first to speak, his face no longer frantic, but relieved, satisfied, like a director watching his masterpiece unfold perfectly. But it was her eyes that disarmed me. I expected fury. Instead, I found warmth, intelligence, even amusement. She was stunning, more so up close. A slow, complicit smile curved on her red lips. Not victorious, inviting. She stepped forward, kneeling in front of me so our eyes met on the same level. Her hand reached for my face. I recoiled instinctively. She stopped, hovered for a second, then gently tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "Sorry for the scare," she said softly, her tone calm, soothing. No trace of the angry woman from moments ago. "We had to be sure. We didn't want to offend you or frighten you. We just wanted to know if you were real." Her touch was tender, her gaze hypnotic. At that moment, surrounded by the two of them, I realized the danger hadn't passed. It had only changed shape. I stayed silent, my mind spinning, recalibrating everything I thought I knew. I wasn't the mistress. I was the candidate. He joined her, crouching beside her. Together, they formed a semicircle around me. "The game you suggested," he said, "was more brilliant than you realize. It gave us the perfect opening." She was the one who asked the final question. Her eyes flicked to him, then back to me. Serious, steady, vulnerable in a way that caught me off guard. "What we have is real. We love each other. But we also have fantasies we can't fulfill alone. We like to share, to watch, to bring someone into our world. Your confession about being watched, your courage to play along. It showed us that maybe you understand." She took a breath. And then, "Will you be our third?" The question hit me like a thunderclap. Simple, direct, devastating. My mind spun. Fear screamed at me to run. To leave the apartment, the building, maybe the whole neighborhood behind. It was madness. A trap set by strangers to lure me into their fantasies. And yet, a raw wave of excitement surged inside me. The fantasy I had whispered to him, the one I had never admitted aloud, was now being offered to me on a silver platter. To be watched, to step into the forbidden, to be the missing piece in their secret world. They didn't pressure me. They just waited. Not with expectation, but with hope. 3 people, 3 secrets laid bare, 1 decision that would change everything. And now the question is no longer theirs to me, but mine to you. Faced with a proposal like this, heart in your hands, fear and desire locked in battle inside you, what would you do? Would you shut the door on the wildest madness of your life? Or dive headfirst into the unknown? Comment below. Because my answer is the beginning of another story.